Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the day that we never thought we might ever get to. It's January the 31st. We are here, finally. I know that we should be grateful for each and every day, but January has been long. Christmas, when was that? It could have been 5 years ago. It wasn't, it was 4 weeks ago, but you know what I mean. It's been long. It's been really cold, dark, rainy, miserable. And I know myself personally, I'm pleased. I'm pleased to get to this point where spring is on its way, or certainly it's nearer than it was at the beginning of January. Today, I've got some juicy questions for you, and I'm going to tell you now some of these questions you might want to skip, or you don't want to do, or you're like, I'll do it later. I'm not going to answer that, because I know that these questions are going to give you some big answers. And I've always spoken about that in my coaching work for the last 15 years. If you ask big questions, you're going to get some big answers. And this is why most people don't ask big questions, because when they ask those big questions, they don't like the answer, or they have to look at themselves, or they have to take a different path, or find a different way. And that's why there are so many get-togethers where people go, "You all right then?" And people go, yeah, I'm fine. Are you all right? Yeah, I'm really good, thanks. Yeah, with no questioning. I am not that person, because I don't like small talk. And I have had so many random connections with people at bus stops, on trains, in church halls, because I love asking big questions. Obviously, I'm doing that in terms of boundaries. I'm not asking randoms on the street, but I love to go deep. And so that's where we're going to go today. If this really isn't your flavor, stop it, move on, get something else, get a book, get something else to help you. But if what I'm asking you is bringing up some resistance, that you're like, your mind immediately goes, I don't want to do that right now, or that seems complicated, I'll just put that to the side, or ooh, not sure about that one, that is often a sign that you need to be in the room. And you don't have to watch me. You can just listen and have it on in the background whilst you're, I don't know, doing the washing or whatever it might be. But my aim and my intention when I was creating this was to really give you lots to think about, and allow you to gain those answers that are going to set you up for where you go next. And this is one of the mistakes, I don't really like using that word, but one of the things that slow people's progress down. They actually don't slow down. Most people will get to the 31st of January and go, right, okay, February, where am I going? What am I doing? Oh, I want to do this project, la, 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 and they're barreling ahead. And actually, understanding what happened in January is going to allow February to work not only better and probably get you better results, but it's going to be more in alignment with yourself. Because these people on the internet, I get the irony, these people on the internet who are telling you these things, they don't know you. They don't know your personality. They don't know the way that you tick. They don't know how many things you've got on your to-do list today to get done. They don't understand that. They don't know that. And so it's important for you to understand yourself. Honestly, this is one of the best things that you can do. You understanding what you need, how you tick, it's absolutely crucial. Because these bros on the internet who are 19 telling me what I must do, it doesn't work. My life is different. Nobody's cooking my dinner tonight. My day is probably going to finish about 9 o'clock because I've got to take my daughter to a school disco. So it's going to be long. And yes, anyway, today, here's some questions. Grab a piece of paper and a pen. I am uploading this onto lots of different platforms. Some of those platforms don't allow you to be able to pause, which when you see I don't know what this video might end up being, 20 something minutes, you might never get back to it. However, there are some platforms that allow you to press pause and play. Feel free, if you are that person who wants to go deeper into it, go and find it on those platforms. It's absolutely there. It's all on my name, at Nicky Raby. Easy. So let's talk about January, shall we? And what happened, what's been going on, and ask some big questions so you get some big answers, as promised. Number one, where are you now? Where are you now? And I want you to, or I invite you to, write down words, phrases, squiggles, whatever it is that you want to do to be able to articulate where you are right now. How are you feeling? Are you feeling I always use this frame of reference, and I hope you know what I mean. You know when you used to see You've Been Framed back in the day, and there'd be a woman just being dragged by a donkey. She's fallen off the donkey and then she's just being dragged, and all her friends and family are watching going, oh my gosh, wow, we don't know what to do. Maybe that is your final day of the year where you just think, wow, I'm done. I need a minute. I need to rest. Maybe this has been the best month of your life. Maybe 2025 is your year. Maybe things are making sense. Maybe you've had epiphanies. Maybe you've had a great dinner, and you've had a connection with your child, or you've done something that's made sense to you. I want you to write it down imperfectly. You don't have to have, and this is why I don't really like actual journals, that you have to fill in the gaps, because sometimes I have all the things to say, and sometimes I'm like, I don't have 9 sentences about that in answer to your question. This is for you to grab your notebook and just write down whatever's coming up. I want you to bring it all up to the surface. So often we go through that phase of life and we're taught this just to push things down, like, oh no, there's a negative feeling, or that, oh, I don't want to mess with the universe. I don't want the universe to think I'm not ready. Bring it up to the surface. It's okay. You can empty it, almost like when your handbag gets a bit grotty sometimes. Maybe you are not that person, but most of us are. Sometimes that handbag needs to be emptied. What's this receipt? Why have I got this? Who does this belong to? How long has that been in there? Empty it out, clean it out, give it a shake so you can look at it. You can do that with your emotions as well. Bring it all up to the surface. Number 2. Maybe on the 1st of January, you set some goals. You thought about the year ahead. What is your connection to that day and that vision right now? Are you sitting on the 31st of January going, yeah, based on that plan that I created on the 1st of January, I'm on track. I'm 12th of the year, 12th of the way through the year. Yeah, everything is kind of going according to plan. I'm seeing traction, things are moving in the right direction. Or you might be somewhere in the middle, or I can't even remember what I wrote on the 1st of January. And, I don't know. I'm not really sure. Or this month hasn't gone to plan. Like, there will be some of you who are watching who are like, January has kicked my ass, and there is absolutely no way that I've been able to think about anything to do with me because there's been so much going on. It's really difficult for me to account for everybody's experience on here. But I want to say, you know you. And I'm not here to just give you some toxic positivity and say, no, just keep going. Just keep doing the thing. No. You know when it's time not to do anything. But also, those other times where you're like, there's absolutely no reason why I shouldn't be doing this, and yet I'm not. So I need to look at myself in that way. Think about that connection. Number 3, I'm going to be giving you some nature analogies here, which I love. So if you were looking at your business and your life and your goals, I want you to think about those goals that have blossomed and they've got to that point where you can pick them and tick them off. So you can't see it, but I've got a massive spider plant up there. And a couple of weeks ago, I know, I can't believe I'm saying this, I propagated it. I took 3 cuttings off it, I've replanted them, and it's all working. It's all happening. And that felt really good to create 4 plants from 1 plant. And so I want you to think about those goals where you know that you've smashed them. You're like, I've done what I set out to do. Yes, that is all worked really, really well. For me, my goal, I've nailed it with friends this month. Absolutely. And not only have nailed it this month, it's really unusual to do this in January. I'm going to dine out on this all year. I've also not got really many plans for February. So, you know, it will average out. But I have seen, let me do the maths. I have seen 9 of my really good friends this month, and not just pass them in the street. No, 6 of them I had a whole weekend with, 2 nights away. One of them I saw, and I sometimes only see her like once a year. And 2, another one I had a random cup of tea with. Another one I've had a meal with, and I've had a chat with. And I'm just delighted with that, because meeting friends and having friends and seeing friends, it's been a challenge for me, having had 2 children and COVID, and sometimes life just gets busy. But I've nailed the friends thing this month, and I'm really excited that that is the case. But there are also things about my work that are going to take longer. And I'm annoyed at myself because I thought that they would be done by the 31st of January, but they're not. So that's the way that it is. So going back to question 3, what has blossomed? What have you ticked off? What have you absolutely aced this month? And then leading into question 4, why did that happen? What did you do? What was your process? And there's 2 things for me, just going back on this, the friends thing. One was getting something in the diary and saying yes and being committed. And the second thing was, when a spontaneous opportunity came up, it was about saying yes. Even if I had loads of work to do, other things, like I can do that hour of work in the evening. That's why I work flexibly. I can get up early, like I did today, to finish off what I missed yesterday because I had a cup of tea with a friend. So really understanding your process of what did you do. Number 5, let's go back to nature again. What is growing? And what is beginning to show itself? The little sprouts, it's peeping up out of the soil. Maybe you don't know what it is yet. Maybe there's only the first signs. What has that been for you this month? And often it can be so easy to miss those things because we want the things that can be picked and ticked and like completed. But we have to be in the process, and we have to notice it every step of the way. So what are those shoots that are beginning to reveal themselves? Where have you found a rhythm? Where have you found some expansion? Where have you began? Sorry. Is it going to be gone? Yeah. Is it? Yeah. Where have you begun to see that process, that progress, those little, note it down. And following on from that, number 6 is, why has that been the case? Is it because you've been tracking that progress? Is it because you've been doing it when you didn't feel like it? Is it because you just said, I'm bored of talking about this. I now need to do it. What's been working really well for you? Note it all down. Also, it will be different for different things. I have really noticed my kids enjoying food much more. And that's because I've felt much more organized. I've been doing a weekly shop, or rather like a Monday to Friday shop, and then the weekends just kind of figure themselves out. But I tell them, when I map out, okay, so this is really boring, but go with me. When I map out what I'm going to cook for the week, I'm much more likely to cook different things. If I'm in the supermarket at 5 to 5, and if you ever see me in the supermarket at 5 to 5 with two grizzly kids, say, what happened to this weekly plan? Because you know that this does not work. It's true. But when I'm at that 5 to 5 moment, I'm just grabbing like sausages and mash and like stuff that I know that they're going to like. But if I plan it in advance, I therefore cook different things. The kids become more experimental. So I've began to see the shoots of that. So understanding that process of why that is key is really important. Number 7, going back to the nature analogy, where have you made some bold moves and cleared some space? This does not get enough credit, this action. And it should do, because it's one of the hardest things to do. You know, when you say, I'm not doing that anymore. I've closed that chapter. I'm going to say no more to X, Y, and Z. You essentially clear the space. You pull, if it was nature, you pull the weeds out. So you go back to this blank canvas again. And sometimes you literally just got the blank soil. Nothing's in it. It's just space. And sometimes that can be uncomfortable because you're like, I don't know what I'm going to put in it. I don't know what's happening. What's going on? And that's brings up some stuff. But I want you to notice. I want you to notice those boundaries that you put in place, those ways that you showed up for yourself, even if you hadn't. Why does that always like make me teary? Where you advocated for yourself, even if you hadn't done that before. Where you said no, where you said yes, where you decided enough was enough. When you put something new in place, you brought a new idea to the table. And maybe where you went back to basics and thought, what am I doing? I'm not this person. I need to remember who I am. All that. I want you to remind yourself of that. And number 8, based on the findings from that, what really spurred those decisions? Maybe you weren't getting the results that you wanted. Maybe you were bored of lying. I know, I'm going to say it. Maybe you were sick of putting on a brave face. Maybe you wanted to just see what it would be like to actually do what you want to do, and not this version of yourself that is a smaller version. Yes, I've got you. I know it's adulting, isn't it? Where you unravel and you look at things and there's that sense of that's not going to work for me anymore. Or I need you to know X, Y, and Z, and this conversation's going to be awkward. All of it. All of it. 2 more to finish off with. Number 9. What do you now know? What has January shown you or taught you? And this could be something about how January plays out in your year, where you say to yourself, why do I force myself to do all these things every January when actually I don't really wake up until spring? I am, a little hedgehog kind of curled up, not wanting to be bothered. That's not when you feel energized. Or maybe you've realized about January that you have all these ideas and yet you just keep talking about them. You convince yourself that you're doing something because you're talking about it, but actually what you need to do is take the next action. I love visuals, if you haven't already guessed. I also love different colored jumpers, so you will also see this in this series. It's the difference between a cold swimming pool. There will be some people who will walk around it for ages and ages. They'll walk past it every day. They'll talk about it. They'll guess about how cold it is, how it would make them feel, how good cold water swimming might be for them. But they'll never go in it. They'll just talk about it. And yet, if cold water swimming came up, they would feel like they could have a conversation about it. And yet, until they go in that water and they feel that brisk shock up their back, they won't really know what it is to be in that water. And in a world of content, of inspiration, aspiration, people sharing behind the scenes, there's always something or someone to listen to. We can convince ourselves that we're in it, that we're doing it. Like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, or I'm a this, I'm a that. And you're very much learning it. You're absorbing it, which is a great part of the process. But now it's a case of flipping it and going into action. Go back to that analogy of cold water swimming. You will know those people. They're always talking about all of the things. Maybe these people are like the most critical. They're the people who watch Grand Designs and go, oh, I can't believe they would ever do that. But they've got no skin in the game. They're watching from their sofa, eating their microwave meal. And they've never created a budget or put something together or saved for 10 years to get this thing off the ground. Or it's like how people used to troll people on X Factor. Yes, of course, there are some people who are very much learning as they go through the process, or maybe they're not necessarily great, but they're having a go and they're doing it. And that's how you learn. And I was having this conversation with my son the other day. He came home from football training and he was like, yeah, oh, I don't feel like I played very well today. It didn't feel like it went my way today. And I investigated further, because this is what you do as a parent. And he said, nothing happened. I just can't put my finger on it. I just didn't really feel great about it. And I said, but you went and you showed up. And then the times where you go and it feels really good, you've got something to compare it to. And it's part of the process and it's part of doing the thing. So that was an interesting conversation to have with him. Number 10. This is the final one. What do you need? What do you need? And this could be diamonds, sports cars, it could be big things, or it could be something small. We feel as a household at the moment, we're all a bit cabin fever as well. And my kids are in that like gnarly, he did this, you said that, I don't like it when, all that. And I'm really having to create some loving boundaries. And I keep coming back to, and I've started saying this, like, what kind of house do we want to have? What kind of house do we want to have? And, they'll give me all the adjectives of the kind of experience that they want to have. I'm like, so therefore, what needs to happen next? Rather than me going, you do that, northern parenting, yeah, from the 80s, you do that one more time, I'm going to ground you. Like, it doesn't work. I don't want to ground my kids. I don't want them in their rooms. I want them outside running and getting rid of this energy. And so one of the things that I have needed, for example, with my kids, is I've needed them to take responsibility for certain things. I've needed to take some things off my plate. I've needed to create some better systems. I've needed to carve out certain times in my diary for certain things. I've needed to get up early, not because I'm a hustling bro, but because I need some bloody quiet time. And that morning time for me is magic. And I know that sometimes I'm like, oh, I can't get up early. I need to, have that moment where I need to lie in. But most of the time, it gives me so much. So I need to put that in place. How was that? I hope you're okay. I wish I could give you a hug, or if that's what you want, I'll make you a cup of tea. I hope me holding that space for you today has given you some clues and some ideas and some answers and reassurance and a reminder that you can do what it is you want to be, do, have, and feel. Yes, it might take some time. Yes, you might need to figure it out. Yes, it may not be obvious. but that's not to say that it's not possible. I am welcoming people in for February. My preference is to do face-to-face work if you're London-based or can travel to London. But if you don't want to do that or you live abroad like many of my clients do, or you're traveling, we can do online as well. The magic of Zoom. I know. Book in some time. Let's make it real, make it happen. I can give you that support, that encouragement, that accountability. If you've done this reflection by the time we get to the end of Feb, I want you to have made some moves. So if I can help and support you, send me a message. I would love to help and support you. And I'll see you very soon. Lots of love. Bye.